I am Karen Gentile, the CEO of Dash Trader, and this is Carolyn Hale, sorry. Carolyn and I have known each other. I'm terrible with names, just so you know that. I always mess up everyone's name. It's just me. It's my fault. I don't know what it is with me with names. But anyway, Carolyn is our host. I am just sitting in, and on the call we also have Jill from Nasdaq, as well as Mike, who is who you probably, if you watch previous stream that we did last week, Mike was on as a guest. So we're going to talk about today's trade, which is the first day of the competition, and I'm kind of going to step away and have Carolyn take over at this point.
Okay. So we looked at our trades for today. The top 3 trades that took place were, I apologize, ARDX. Oops. And just give me a moment here. Were
Okay.
ARDX, or Ardelyx, and that jumped about 60% today as a result of a clinical stage biotech cardiorenal disease results. So that was a big stock that was traded today. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, Jill, and you have anything that you'd like to add?
You know, I would say, and I'm sure Mike can agree with this as well. If you take a look at the top 3, I think it's really interesting that we see TVIX in there, because when we did this a couple months ago, there was no mention of vol products in the top 3 or 10 whatsoever. I would say the bigger components were made of technology, cannabis, and biotech. So I think it's interesting to see that we're the short-term intraday vol trading vehicles are definitely back in the top 3, which makes sense considering the August that we had and the way we kicked off September. I imagine we'll see a lot more of TVIX, UBXY, VXX over the next month, with September being more seasonally volatile, and just with the machinations in the market around interest rate rhetoric, trade wars. I feel like the market's gotten a little bit immune to the tweets and the headlines just based on volume. We have seen extreme swings. I think a lot of that is algo based off the headlines. You're not going to see money managers making a big shift in their strategy on a headline, but I do expect, and Mike, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, that we will see these short-term vol products definitely be within the top 3 and 10 over the next couple of weeks.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, we saw today that we had a big gap down in the market right out of the gate, and then we had an initial kind of a little bit of a fade, and then we had a very sharp drop on the manufacturing index numbers. So you could see there was a big drop right around I believe it was 10 o'clock, and the market just really dropped precipitously, but then kind of stopped, stalled, got its footing, and then chopped around for a while, and eventually managed to get back to pretty close to the open. But yeah, as long as we're going to keep seeing this kind of tweeting and all kinds of news, reactions to news, and of course just the fact that September tends to be a very bearish month, as going into October, I think that you're going to see a lot of activity in the VIX. The ADRX is something that you're just going to see pop up on a regular basis. You're going to see some biotech company, we call this the biotech lottery. Some biotech company comes out with some good news, and that's the stock that gaps up and goes for the day. And of course, you see a lot of traders trading it. It's a momentum play. You'll see it for a few more days, and then you'll never hear about it again. But you're going to see these kinds of stocks pop up in the competition, on a regular basis, 1 or 2 of them a week. But you're going to definitely see the VIX and the TVIX, at least for the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And going back to healthcare as well, particularly on the med tech and the biotech side of the sector, they weren't performing very well the first 6 months of the year, but kind of had a drop off relative to the S&P. And I believe they are underperforming at this point relative to the index. So I think that you might see some interesting, I don't know if you call them value plays, but some pickups there in the volatility. But I think for right now, for intraday plays, we'll continue to see within healthcare, within tech, certainly within some of the social media and cannabis names. But I don't think that we'll see on an intraday basis your more blue chip names, if you will, within the consumer staples space or industrial. I just don't think you're going to see that shift in terms of what's moving on a swing or day trade basis.
Okay.
The action is definitely going to be in biotech. Most of the big drug companies don't have a lot of drugs in their pipeline, and it's kind of inexpensive for them to pick up a lot of these biotechs. So you'll probably see a lot of M&A activity and obviously a lot of action just randomly popping up with news in the biotech sector, in my opinion. So just keep an eye out for those. And those, obviously, you can see that it's a great indicator in the competition that the traders find these active stocks immediately. So you'll see a stock in the results every single day from the number one best trader competition, as the traders are the first ones to find them in the price action.
Yeah.
They see them moving, they jump on them, they trade them. They probably don't even know what the news is. And, it's good to see that traders react very quickly in price.
Yeah, I would love to know what their methodology is, whether it's a specific volume tool or unusual option tool that they're using, or if it's just something within the intraday chart set, or if it's more of a crowd trade, if you will. I know that happens a lot, particularly with the cannabis stocks, certainly if anyone's trading cryptocurrency out there. But this time of the year is always interesting because you're in that lull where earnings season, for all intents and purposes, is over. You have the ECB, I believe it's the week next week or the week after. Then we have our Fed meeting coming up. You have options expiration in there somewhere in between. A whole slew of data coming out for September. You also have quarter end coming up.
Right.
So we're kind of in this earnings vacuum right now. We're not necessarily focused on corporate fundamentals, but more on what's happening within the macro headlines and macro data. So things can move very quickly here, particularly with the seasonality in September, and then I'll be curious to see what the volume looks like in September at all, if there's any sort of a drop-off, or if it picks up at all, and most certainly it will, towards the end of the quarter, if indexes look to make their moves.
It looks to me usually the way traders find these kind of momentum plays is by a combination of chat rooms and Twitter. Mm-hmm. They watch these different Twitter feeds and they see that some stock's moving. And then, of course, most of the traders are in various different chat rooms, and then they just kind of crowd in. Once they see it's moving, they just buy the pullback, as in the case of this ADRX. It's just a breakaway gap, buy the pullbacks, and see how far it goes. Obviously, it had some really amazing news, so it had some legs to it. As far as the volume, from what I can see, we're kind of in the center of back to school time.
Yes.
Obviously everybody's, all the major fund managers are putting their flip-flops away and coming back from the Hamptons, and they got to put their kids back into school. They're taking their kids for their haircut. I went to get a haircut today, and I waited for like 45 minutes, as there was one kid after another with his parents. So, basically you got parents going back to school, volume is going to be light for the next week or two, and then of course you have the Jewish holidays. So you have a bunch of different holidays that are going to be coming here. You got Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. So you tend to have much lower volume going into the middle of September. And of course, we are in an earnings vacuum. Earnings season is effectively over. So we have a nice little lull here where you're going to see traders jumping onto any stock that has any action. And you're going to see stocks like this ADRX. And of course, you're going to see the old standbys, the ETFs and the inverse ETFs and the volatility ETFs as the go-to stocks as traders look for some action and some movement for them to jump on.
Right, that makes sense. This is such a quiet, dead time of year. And, as you can see with the medicines company, just the fact that there was a, presentation or, a news of, their presentation at the European concession in Paris, and immediately, boom, these traders are trading it in quite high volume.
Jumping on board. So I think that one thing I just wanted to remind all the traders, obviously it's the first day of the competition, try to manage your risk. Hopefully you had a good day. If you had a good day, definitely don't go in tomorrow and to try to replicate today if you had a good day, and you try to lock it in, trade each day as a standalone. You want to make sure that you always manage your risk, and if you had a good day, it doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be exactly like today. Just try to look for good trades, good opportunities, and stay in the competition. If you had a nice big green day today, lock it in. Try to put two days together. Trading is a very difficult endeavor, and you just want to keep looking at each day as a standalone. And if you're profitable 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you put together a profitable week. Never risk your profit from the prior day, or if you do, you only risk a percentage of your profit from the prior day. And that'll keep steadily, consistently going up the rankings. One of the things that I saw was amazing when Karen and I were looking at this last week was that some of the winners, or the people that were in the higher ends, just were green.
Yes.
They just had to stay green during the competition. As long as they didn't lose their money, they managed to make it to the upper echelons of the competition. So I think you want to just focus on not losing, trying to keep yourself in the competition. If you had a good day, try to make tomorrow a good day. When I was trading, it was 17 out of 20 trading days. If you had 17 out of 20 trading days, you had a good month. So just want people to stay focused and realize that by this time next week, hopefully we have a lot more green and a lot more trades to talk about, obviously, and just keep people going in the right direction as far as being reasonable and managing their risk. They should treat this like real money. It's the best way to get the most out of this competition.
That's very good advice. So keep your P&L green and stay level-headed and don't get overconfident just from one good day of trading, but maintain consistency throughout the competition.
Yeah, but I'm sure Trump will spice things up with a few tweets in the next couple of weeks. So we always have a surprise tweet every now and then. So I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of excitement out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the different stocks that that pop up. And I'd like to see if we get some reoccurring names that we see the vol products stay in there, and the ETFs, the inverse ETFs.
Well, there is AMD. That seemed to be in the top 5 that traded today as well.
Yes.
We just didn't mention it because it wasn't in the top 3, but AMD is definitely listed. That's a favorite that everyone likes to trade.
Yeah, it seems to be obviously it's just a name that has a lot of volume.
Mm-hmm.
It could have a tremendous run from, $15, $16 range all the way up to 36. But right now it's just kind of a stock that I think that they scalp and day trade. It's kind of like the old Citibank trade of 1998, 1999. It's just a stock that has a lot of volume, lots of liquidity. And if there's nothing going on, people tend to trade AMD because they can scalp away at it.
I would agree with Mike there, and Micron is another one that we see. I would say out of the NASDAQ 100, that's probably the most heavily traded that we see day to day. You have to remember too that a lot of these companies, particularly those that have exposure to China and the semi pipeline, are going to whipsaw around what we're seeing regarding U.S. and China trade wars and how that could potentially impact their bottom line. So not only are you looking for tweets and what's being reported on, you also want to look for companies like Apple, for example, and how they're commenting on what's happening with the supply chain. So you will see these AMD, these Microns, trade around commentary from who they're supplying to, and then also around the trade war rhetoric, because they are going to be very sensitive to that because that's where they manufacture, and that's where a lot of their business is derived from.
Those are very good points.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just marked down, so these are the ones that I'm going to be watching as we do more of these sessions. I'm going to be watching AMD, I'm going to watch Micron, I'm going to watch Apple. And I do think that these are going to be the go-to stocks. These are the stocks that everybody seems to trade when there's nothing going on. There's just stocks have fan followings just like people do. And, a lot of people know Micron. I mean, if you look at the chart, there's really nothing going on in Apple. The chart of Apple looks very similar to the chart of Micron, chart of AMD. They're all kind of stuck in this kind of consolidating range. But if traders have nothing to trade, they go back to the names they know. And I think that's a good thing to do. If you're going to trade something, you know the levels, know where to trade it between. And if there's nothing else going on, after the morning, today was a very, very, very stagnant, boring day. I mean, there really was not much going on after that 10 o'clock, a manufacturing index number.
Right. That makes sense. So they're hedging their risk and sticking with what they know, and that's smart too. But we did see quite a lot of that today being traded.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a couple reminders regarding the competition. We are still taking registration until September 15th. And if anyone is interested in joining the stream and basically give us some information exactly. For example, what strategy you're using. Do you feel you're going to be successful? Did you make any mistakes on the first day? What have you learned? Any additional information, just please send us an email at info@onebesttrader.com, because we would love to have you on the next stream. And again, if you are not part of the competition right now, it's not too late. You can still register. We're going to still continue the registration until the 15th, because this competition is now 45 days long. So it's enough time for someone to get in. And again, whoever is in the competition, don't try too hard to overtrade, because you have quite a lot of days to stay in the green. So that's pretty much the reminders that we have.
Yeah, and that was a recurring theme that we found with the last competition, when we would interview some of the competitors or contestants, that it was a big learning experience, and they learned an awful lot, treating it like real money, and also seeing how they're doing versus other traders. And so stay in the competition and learn as much as you can.
Yeah, try to learn as much as you can about your trading software. Obviously, you have a very powerful piece of trading technology. It's a great opportunity. In 45 days, you should be able to learn that software inside and out. Make yourself a layout, refine your layout, learn how to use hotkeys if you're trading, very rapidly or quickly, if you're going to be scalping. Use all the functionality of the software. Try to get some info feeds, like if you're using a chat room, and evaluate a chat service, how good it is. Any other Twitter feeds or whatnot that you might be using. Just see how, and analyze, and just keep maintaining and watching, and see how your results are affected by these various different things. One of the most important things, and you can obviously you can message me. I have 2 Instagrams on. I have Mike, Dodge Trader Mike, and I have Mike the Mayor, Affinity Mike the Mayor. At the Affinity Trading Institute, we also mentor students, and one of the things we always say is you need to expound upon what works and eliminate what doesn't. So keep a very, very accurate trading journal, just like I wrote down a couple of names that I'm going to be watching as we go through and do these different sessions. Look at what's working in your trading, try to expound upon what's working, and cut out everything else. Trading is very, very counterintuitive. You cut losses, you let winners run, you focus on what works, good trading behavior. You want to focus on that, and anything that's not helping you or taking away your focus, you want to eliminate that. And definitely spend a lot of time learning your software and your technology. Okay?
That's excellent advice about keeping a trading journal. It is can be a very intense and overwhelming experience, and what you learned yesterday, you might just forget the next day, because it's minute to minute, and that's good advice.
Also, think about this: it'll definitely stop over trading, because if you did 600 trades today, you don't want to have to put them in your trading journal, right?
Yes.
That's going to be spending until 9 o'clock at night putting in trades. Most of the time, most good traders take anywhere between 5 and 15 trades a day, depending on how active you are. If you're doing 600 trades, I can almost promise you that you're over trading. In this competition, you have commission and trading fees, just like in real life. So if you're doing that much trading, you're probably just burning your own money and not getting much results out of it. Try to make your trades count, okay? This is, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to spend my entire day in front of the screen. Most activities at the beginning of the day, the end of the day. If something doesn't happen at the beginning of the day, I might stick around during lunch. But for the most part, try to use your time effectively and focus on what the most effective use of your time. And guys, I look forward to seeing everybody next week, and trade well. Good luck in the competition.
Us too, and thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you,
All right,
Jill.
thanks, guys.
Good luck, contestants.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Did it end the stream?